Now we start with some chordates that are more familiar to us, like the green sea turtle. This is a member of the class Reptilia. Of course, sea turtles are an amazing creature. If you've ever had a chance to do any snorkeling or diving in Hawaii, you may have been surrounded by sea creatures, by sea turtles, and they're such a gentle creature, and they float through the water with such ease that it's hard to imagine why anyone would want to do them any harm. But as it turns out, all sea turtles in the ocean are endangered because humans, in their infinite greed, are taking their eggs and either eating them or using them or selling them, or just simply taking the shells of these organisms to use for some kinds of purposes. And it's that decimation of their habitat, that decimation of their reproductive means, that decimation of the organisms itself, that have put sea turtles in danger everywhere in the world. And they're not an essential food item even in the places where they are being harvested. So I just think it's one of those creatures that, because of its beauty and its uniqueness, that why can't we just leave it alone and let it live? The sea turtle. This is an organism you don't see too often associated with the ocean. Yes, it's a sea snake. Sea snakes are relatively rare in our waters, although we have sea snakes in Baja California. Other parts of the world ocean, such as, I believe, Philippines and Indonesia, sea snakes are more common, and for all intents and purposes, there's not much difference between a sea snake and a regular terrestrial snake, although, again, they're just like terrestrial snakes. Some of them are poisonous, some of them aren't, and for some reason, it's just something in our genes, I guess. Snakes are something we just really don't want to see. Now, I know some of you probably have pet snakes at home and probably think this guy looks cuddly and all that, and I used to have pet snakes too, but they still kind of evoke this sort of reaction with us that's interesting. And I can't say that if I saw one of these while swimming, I'd be charmed or happy, but they are beautiful, and this one is colorful, and they are members of the chordata like us, and they're reptiles like the sea turtle, so we want to give them some props and a shout out here. Here's an organism that does strike fear in us, the great white shark, a member of the chondrichthyes, again a member of the chordata, and the great white shark being one of the most voracious predators in the ocean, but also one that's very misunderstood. The great white shark is a very cautious predator. It really only likes to eat big, fat sea lions and elephant seals. It's really not too interested in humans. And though you may not survive being bit by one, you can rest easy knowing that they didn't mean to bite you, if that's any solace at all. Because a surfer on a surfboard looks like a sea lion or an elephant seal. And when these predators come up from the depths to attack, they often mistake surfers for those sea lions and elephant seals. But oftentimes they'll bite and then they'll realize, yuck, a human, and they'll let you go. And if you survive that first bite and you don't bleed to death and you have someone nearby that can take you to a hospital really quickly and sew you up, you'll live. And there have been several divers who've actually experienced being bit by a great white shark who have lived, and they've often wondered, why did it let me go? Why didn't it just finish me off? Well, the fact of the matter is great white sharks don't like to eat humans. It's much different with the tiger shark, however. They'll eat anything. Here's a close-up of the great white shark that at one point used to swim in the Monterey Bay Aquarium, but now since has been let loose and is somewhere roaming the ocean between Catalina Island and the Farallon Islands off San Francisco. Perhaps you'll see this guy someday. Here's another shark, a whale shark. This is actually the largest fish in the world. It's a fish just like a shark is a fish, but it looks like a whale because it's so big, so we call it a whale shark, but it's not a mammal. It does not breathe oxygen. It breathes oxygen. It doesn't breathe air. It brings water through its gills just like a fish does, and it's not a mammal. So here we have the largest fish in the world ocean, the whale shark. These are some other examples of fish, and we're not going to go into all the diversity of fish. You can look through a fish book or browse the internet or go down to an aquarium, a store that has tropical fish, and look at all the different kinds of fish. But just if you consider the amazing diversity of fish in the ocean and their success in exploiting that environment, it's truly remarkable. And we give it just a little bit of in description in the book, and I suggest you read it if you're interested in fishes in the ocean. Here is California's state fish, the Garibaldi. It's a bony fish, again a member of the phylum Chordata, just like us, and it's a curious little fellow, but beautiful with its bright orange color. Here's a fish that you may not on first appearance even recognize that it is a fish, because it looks more like a piece of seaweed. This is a Leafy Sea Dragon, and this is a kind of fish that is now become popular to display in marine aquaria. This one's from the aquarium of the Pacific, and they've actually been successful getting these guys to reproduce with each other. They're relatives of the seahorse. They kind of look like a seahorse, the Leafy Sea Dragon.